In this series of videos, I'm going to show you how to use Angular and ngrx to trigger network requests and then have the loading status displayed independently for each of those network requests. So part one will just be setting the project up. First of all, I'm going to paste in this command to install ngrx packages. That's completed. Now I'm going to install Lodash, npm I Lodash. It's completed. Now I'm going to install ngrx schematics. So we can scaffold actions and reducers and stuff. Finally, I'm going to install jasmine-marbles. Okay, so that's done as well. I'm just going to clear that output. Now I'm going to run ngconfig cli.default collection as ngrx schematics. And this is just going to mean when I run nggenerate like that, I don't need to pass in the ngrx schematics each time, so I can generate a reducer. That's going to ask me for the name, etc. I'm going to cancel that and clear. I'm going to create now an API service, which is going to make the network requests for us. So I can do nggenerate a service, and I'm going to call this service API. This API service is going to act as a facade over the Angular HTTP service. We are going to call make two example requests. One will get a user, and then the other will get some user settings. So let's open API service. And first things first, I'm going to define an interface for both of those types of data. Wouldn't necessarily say it's the best place to put it in this service. In other projects, I have model files where I keep things like interfaces. So let's have an interface, and we'll call it user. And we're going to have an email address, say, which is a string, email, and a username, which is also a string. Now I'm going to define some user settings. So let's go user settings. And we'll say that we've got a subscription tier that user's on, for example, and it could be a number. I'm actually going to change that to user setting for the non-plural. Now I'm going to generate these store, effects, and actions. So first is store, and I want to pass in the root flag. So this is registered in the app module as the root store. Let's call it state. Register it in the app module. We can see the app module has been updated. And we can see here store module.forRoot has been added. Now I want to ng-generate an effect. And again, I want this effect to be the root effects. Now, what should be the name of the effect? I'm going to call it user/user. I like for my features to be collected by the type rather than having an actions folder, a reducers folder, and an effects folder. So that, and we want to register an app. We want to wire up success and failure actions, yes. We want the create function, yes. And now finally, ngg action user/user. We want both of those. Generate another action, and I'm going to call it user/setting. Again, non-plural, pass in yes twice. So let's take a look at the files it's created for us inside app. So generate store created this reducers folder. I would personally not necessarily keep all my reducers in there. We'll see how we go with that. I've generated this user folder here with my settings actions and their spec files, user actions and spec files, and then the effect file here as well. So the last thing we want to do is set up Wallaby, which I can do pretty quickly by going to my edit configurations up here in WebStorm. I want to add a new configuration, Wallaby, bearing in mind I've already got the Wallaby plugin installed for WebStorm. Let's call this, let's call it Wallaby. And fortunately, because we're using Angular 9, configuration type can just be automatic. Node.js, we possibly need to change that. Let's see if that's system default and see how we go. So that's okay. And I'm going to start Wallaby. Let's take a look at the Wallaby console. So that actually took a little while, just compiling all these Angular things for the first time, but it's finished now and told me it's finished executing 7 tests. We can see our green dots here, like we expect with Wallaby, and then I'll also just take a look at the Explorer. We've got Wallaby, and we can see tests are passing as expected. So switching back to the application, that's pretty much all the boilerplate done, and the end of part 1. See you in part 2.